They save lives, build buildings, fix our machinery, keep our computer systems running, and they get paid pretty well to do it. They don't need a 4-year college degree, and the local job market needs a lot more of them.
Any sort of post-secondary learning that would set our students up for success is really what we're trying to highlight.
It's all next on a Living St. Louis American Graduate Special.
In August, on the Forest Park campus, St. Louis Community College presented the 2018 State of the St. Louis Workforce Report.
We have a serious workforce gap issue in St. Louis County.
For the past 10 years, the college has tracked the recovery, growth, and challenges of our region's jobs, informing employers, educators, and community organizations of the needs of our area's workforce.
What are the skills that are necessary for the job that I'm hiring for? And does that individual have the skills?
The greatest takeaway? Our region needs a skilled workforce. Pay, of course, varies from job to job and level of training and experience, but many pay in the $30,000 to $50,000 range and some higher. In St. Louis, there are more jobs than job seekers. The 2018 report highlights the employment needs and opportunities in St. Louis in the fields of information technology, finance, and healthcare.
We have the busiest emergency room in the state of Missouri, over 105,000 emergency room visits.
Rick Stevens is the president of Christian Hospital in North St. Louis County.
One of the things I think that surprised me is that in healthcare, we've known that we've had a shortage in workers, especially nurses, but now it's expanded beyond that. Now it's even with paramedics, it's with radiologists, rad techs, or laboratory technicians as well. But I think this morning it still showed that we're a little late in trying to close the gap, but we're also working on that as well.
Any other daily medications you take?
Yeah.
Operating their own emergency medical services, Christian responds to approximately 40,000 calls a year, using their fleet of 22 ambulances and 3 command triage vehicles. A shortage of EMT/EMS workers at Christian Hospital would negatively impact their ability to meet the emergency medical needs of North St. Louis County.
Here in North County, with the demographics that we serve, not a lot of people have access to health care like they should. So the demand is high for any kind of health care, and a lot of times they end up in the ER. So it's important for us to have the coverage that we do.
So in the last few years, they've become proactive in training their future workforce in emergency medicine.
You guys are responding to a medical alert. The notes in the CAD state that there's a woman that lives there that has a medical alert. She is deaf and mute.
Okay. Parker Malinsky is class president of the current EMS Academy class. They are halfway through their 1 year of training, and today students are running mock emergency scenarios.
Go ahead and give them some atropine.
When you do these types of activities, they put you through these real-life situations?
Real-life situations, yep. 100%. Has she been acting weird? What's going on?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay. How do you guys communicate? How do we communicate best with her? Just asking her verbal commands?
The academy is located on the campus of Christian Hospital, where students earn EMT and EMS credentials. And there is a difference between the two. EMT is Basic Life Support Certified, and EMS is Advanced Life Support Certified. Acquiring an EMT certification is the first step in pursuing a career in emergency medical services.
EMT takes a semester, paramedic takes at minimum a year, and also here at the academy we have a minimum of 600 hours of clinical time, and you're learning all the in-depth things. It's all the critical thinking and disease processes, medication, all of the emergency medicine. We've really taken the ER and put it on wheels and put it out into the community.
Immediately following high school graduation, Malinsky, now 19, began EMT training, graduated and got a job at Christian Hospital, and he schedules his shifts around his training for more advanced life support certification. Even at his young age, Malinsky has his career pathway figured out.
I plan on going into the fire service. In order to be a firefighter, in most places you have to be a paramedic. They just need that license because fire trucks, they're really incorporated in the ALS. Like if someone's in cardiac arrest, instead of saving an ambulance that's 10 minutes away, you can say a fire department that's 3 minutes away. You can do the same stuff as we can, besides they're on scene faster, getting that patient care that we need.
It's just a little more pronounced because it's slower.
Is that a new trend where you've got these kids who are 18 coming out of high school looking for these careers in healthcare right away, or is this something that's always existed and I just didn't know about it?
I think that it's gone in waves. Everything's cyclical. So it used to be that it was something that somebody pursued right out of high school, and then it became a second career, and now we're seeing it trend back to the younger folks are coming in and doing it right out of high school.
It's going to get tight on your arm, okay?
Was this sort of a way to shore up your own workforce?
In a roundabout way it was. The idea was we have EMTs and we're wanting them to move to that next step in their career, and we could facilitate that. But then also we have people that come from outside, and there's always going to be a need. There's always going to be a need for ambulances to respond to 911 calls. There's always going to be a need for emergency medicine.
Earlier this year, St. Louis Graduates, a nonprofit supporting post-secondary education, hosted a day of professional learning opportunities for high school counselors.
The topic was on high-demand career and specifically counseling students so that they know what opportunities are available to them. A heavy focus today was on credentialing, work-based learning experience, career exploration.
For the last few decades, the push for students to attend a 4-year university right out of high school has been strong.
The research says that more than 50% of students who begin college never graduate, and so they're leaving with a lot of debt and no real trajectory for what they want to do in their adult life.
College and earning a 4-year degree is important, but as tuition costs soar and the employment gaps in high-demand skills careers widen, the conversation around post-secondary education and opportunities is changing.
Make more money, get promoted to a higher role, like being a manager.
Schools like Jennings offer career training and pathways in high school.
We are finding that a lot of our students are wanting to go straight into the workforce and delay into going to college because a lot of our students still are having trouble paying for college right after, even with scholarships. It's just not as many as it used to be. So we're noticing that we need to help those students go right to work.
College is one path, credentialing is another. Any sort of post-secondary learning that would set our students up for success is really what we're trying to highlight.
Vocational training at the high school level is nothing new in St. Louis. For more than 50 years, students in North and South St. Louis County have been earning credentials and graduating ready to work. Critical injuries and life-saving procedures are a typical scene at this school.
He actually might not be dead.
Okay, I'm gonna be dead.
But it's all good. This is the EMT program at North Technical High School. Here in this class, students focus their studies on life-saving skills.
Today we're doing some skills sign-offs, and these skills are important for them to learn to pass our state test, also to manage critical injuries out on the street.
An EMT major is just one of 28 programs offered at North Tech, a school that combines traditional classroom academics with career and technical education.
And snap chalk lines that are 3.5 inches wide.
Jim Heeger is the principal at North Tech.
So while they're going to high school, they're also able to earn certificates that are normally not earned until after the high school experience.
Begin CPR.
Students have access to high-demand skills training in the fields of healthcare, IT, precision machining, construction, and many others. Earning these industry-recognized credentials, or IRCs, opens the door for employment and creates a career pathway upon graduation.
So many of these different areas, whether it's IT, healthcare, construction, they're all looking for people with skills. And if we can help match them with these young people who have the skills, it's a win-win for everyone.
For more than 50 years, students in St. Louis County have had the option to, for free, explore career interests while earning certificates and a high school diploma. North Technical High School is located in Florissant. Their sister school, South Tech, is in Sunset Hills. Both are funded through Special School District of St. Louis County.
Students do spend half of their day doing the traditional academics. At North Tech, we have about 300 students that get all of their education here from us, their academics and their technical program. An additional 500 or so students come to us just for the technical program, and then go back to their home schools for their academic classes.
Staging real work environments and providing real hands-on experiences are key to the success of this educational model and its students. So what is this place?
So in our law enforcement classroom, our construction students were able to build a part of a house, which then the law enforcement students are able to use as crime scene.
Here, these students are applying crime scene investigating skills.
So as you can see, we found the weapon right by deceased body, a weapon near the window, bullet holes right there, and fingerprints on the window.
This one happens to be a murder scene, but in this class, students will learn conflict mediation and resolution, investigation techniques, even self-defense.
So whoever did CSI...
Class instructor Clarence Hines worked for the St. Louis Police Department for 21 years.
It does give them early exposure to careers that traditionally have not been available to them until age 21. But now this actually presents a career pathway for them.
Hines students take a 40-hour course through the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch, where after a passing score of at least 80%, they're certified to work anywhere in the world as an emergency dispatcher. So they're employment ready right out of high school.
They are employment ready.
A high school diploma combined with employable skills are what many industries in St. Louis are looking for in their workforce. And companies have become more proactive in developing their own hireable supply at the high school level.
What's the most important thing that you need to protect? Your eyes, because you can't replace them.
Clayco offers the Construction Career Development Initiative, or CCDI, which promotes high-demand careers in the construction industry.
I think that people would be shocked to understand that there's a tremendous deficit in the construction industry with workers. We've got freshmen and sophomores, and as they start the planning of their career or their continued education, we want to help them understand that there's a place for them in the construction business if it's something that they truly fall in love with. And the only way you're going to do that, the only way they're going to do that, is to be exposed to the construction trades and what possibly could be out there for them.
Is there any criticism of this type of track?
I think there's maybe a stigma of what technical schools were in the 80s or 90s, and people may still have a perception of what that is. But it's very different today in that it's a place where students have to be very high achieving, and we're asking them to be working on college certifications. So they have to be motivated and excited, and we think it's a perfect way to have a high school partnership where it marriages the traditional academics with the experience in a technical.
Principal Heeger explains that 65 to 75% of his graduates do go on to pursue a college degree. But the reality is, for those who go directly into the workforce or work in a trade, often live with the stigma of having a dead-end job and no way to move up. But these high-demand skilled careers we're talking about often have career advancement and lead to financial assistance for higher education. And who better to hear about these high-demand skilled careers than those who work in them? I recently sat down with a group of young professionals who are graduates of North and South Tech high schools and jumped into the workforce right after graduation. This is George Basil. He's a certified repairman apprentice at Ameren.
My day could be anything from welding a repair on a piece of equipment to fixing the plumbing or doing some type of carpentry or bricklaying work.
Also with Ameren is Tony Leaker, a pre-apprentice laborer.
I travel around to the different distribution operating centers like the poles, power lines, things like that.
Nicole Russell is a gas person with Spire.
Basically, I install the gas main and gas services to each individual houses.
Chris Givens is in the service department at Spire.
She does everything underground, so I'll build everything up and into the house.
When you were in high school and these companies, whether it was with Ameren or Spire or any of the other trades, and these professionals come into the high school and mentor and show interest in you, what does that do for a young person? How key is that in making a difference in sending a high school student on the right path or exposing them to what their opportunities might be?
It gives you a look into something you didn't see before. You know, I didn't think this was an option until now, and now you present it, and so I'm on board.
When you look at trying to get onto a company like Spire or Ameren, like you think like you have to have some good skills, and it always helps to have type of skills that maybe you've already been in the trade for a while. Well, they're wanting you to get into the trade like right after high school if it's up, you know, if you can, and if you really want it, they'll reward you with it.
When you're a high school student, most people don't expect much from you at all. They don't expect you to make, you know, responsible decisions. They don't expect you to want to pursue a career at such a young age. And then here they are coming and saying, hey, you can do this.
What are the Spire and Ameren programs? Can you explain those?
So basically, like, we come out to the schools and we talk to the students and tell them about our day-to-day routine and different situations and scenarios, how we talk to customers, and we show them how to interview and show them how to dress and shake a hand, and, you know, kind of the small important things that some people don't pay attention to. We trying to kind of give them that advice, like, hey, this is kind of important.
Those soft skills.
Those soft skills take you a long way.
If you didn't have these pathways presented to you while you were in high school or post-high school and have career opportunities at a young age, what do you think you would be doing? Where would you be now?
I would have been in New York trying to be a designer, because that's what I wanted to do, be a fashion designer. That's why I went to tech, to be in that trade, and somehow it kind of got switched around because I looked at it and I tried to see the long-term growth of how successful I could be in either trade.
You saw the success in the electrical trade more than...
I saw long-term as far as if I were to go out on my own at such a young age, how successful I would have been or not have been compared to if I had stayed and worked in the trade that I could see myself working in for the rest of my life.
What about you guys? Where do you think you'd be if you didn't have this plan or think in advance?
I mean, I'd probably still be at home, I don't know, working at McDonald's or something, because, I mean, all throughout high school, I mean, personally, I just didn't have the motivation. It was just me kind of slugging through, not really, because I knew I didn't want to go to college. It was just long and drawn out, and I didn't really see the point and hadn't found too much interest in anything. And then
but
actually,
you knew you wanted to work. You
knew
you wanted to make a living.
I actually found something that I could do outside of high school after that I actually enjoyed and had an interest in.
Over the last few decades, the discussion around, okay, you go to high school and then you go to college. That's what you're supposed to do. Is there a stigma around the choices and pathway that you've taken, which might not be what is now traditional, which is you go to high school and then you go to college?
Yeah. Well, I will be talking to people that I went to high school with, or just, you know, people in general, and they'll be like, oh, what college did you go to? I'm like, well, I did go to community college right after high school. I did not finish, and I instead went to work in the trade. And then they're like, oh, but then I go and tell them how successful I believe I became. And then they're like, oh, really?
How about you? Everybody sees the pathway that you're on and cheers you on all the time?
I would say now they do, now that they see the success in what I have done with the path that I've taken, because not too long ago, like a year or so ago, I ended up buying a house because I got this opportunity and have been saving and making decent money and everything.
How old did you say you were?
I'm 20.
You just bought a house?
Yeah, I just bought a house. Oh, a year ago I bought a house.
So at 19, huh?
Yep.
Good for you. Congratulations. Yeah, so if you're buying a house, no one's turning their nose up at you.
No.
At 18, you may not have decided to go get a 4-year degree. Taking a career pathway is also a pathway to get a 4-year degree when you're ready for it. Is that right?
Correct. Oh, yeah.
It's not ruled out.
It's expensive.
Right. So how does having a career and all of that and being with a company, how does that also help with being able to get additional education down the road?
Oh, it helps a whole bunch.
Like at Ameren, I've heard about it. I haven't really gone into it because I've only been there for a little while, but they pay, I think, partially for your tuition, like to colleges.
I would personally take business because of my career goal in life, my ultimate goal.
Which is what?
I want to be, I will be, the CEO of Spire one day. I was asked that question in high school, and that was my answer, and that's still going to be my answer. That was my ultimate goal. So
you
I
heard
do
it here
know.
first, folks. Right here.
I will be.
All right, well, you guys better buddy up to her. She's gonna
be nice.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't know that there are these opportunities and these pathways. What advice would you give your peers, even now at your age, or high school students, or anyone who's looking for where they fit in, what sort of careers they should go to, or what the opportunities are out there? What advice do you have?
I always give the advice, don't be afraid to take risks. You know, like my thing with being younger, you can take chances and fail. And I think failure is always good because you learn yourself more. And advice I always give peers, or you know, sometimes older and maybe a little younger, just don't be afraid to do something, because once you're doing something, at least you're doing something instead of not doing nothing at all.
I would also say, do what you love, no matter what. And sometimes we don't always know if it's the right decision. That much is true. We know that, but
that never changes, by the way. You never know.
I figured it would.
Right. Yeah, no matter how old you are, you're never quite sure, but you take those risks.
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
The 2018 State of the Workforce Report reveals that 61% of IT employers in our region are experiencing a shortage of skilled workers, and 50% of technology employers plan to add more jobs in the next 12 months. This next story explores an area of IT where their workforce needs grow every day.
We as a society like our technological conveniences. We have our Alexas and Roombas and Rings. And as we continue to connect everything to the internet, the rise of security and compliance continues to grow. And unfortunately, we currently have a shortage of cybersecurity professionals to help keep those hackers at bay.
There's predicted to be a shortage of talent by 1.5 million people by the year 2021 in cybersecurity specific roles. It's nationwide, so locally for St. Louis right now, there are about 5,000 open roles that are unfilled today.
Tony Bryan is the executive director of the Midwest Cyber Center, a local nonprofit located in T-Rex, a technology startup incubator downtown.
Our mission is to close the cybersecurity skills gap by inspiring the workforce of tomorrow and educating the workforce of today.
Tony makes it sound so easy, and in some ways it may be. There are people looking for training and certification in cybersecurity, and they can provide that.
In person, 3 days a week, 72 hours of coursework that is provided with a real-time instructor, soft skill prep.
Using the cybersecurity framework for the National Institute of Standards and Technology, students develop their workforce readiness skills in this field. That's exactly what Derek Hall did. After he left the military, Hall got his associate's degree in computer networking and administration, but struggled to find a job.
I got my associate's degree thinking that would be my ticket to get a good job. I was getting no hits. I applied to a lot of places, but just not even getting called up for an interview. So I decided I'd go on for my bachelor's. Maybe that's the ticket. When I'm going to school, I'm talking to all these people who are seniors who have never even been able to get an internship.
Well, as it turns out in the IT profession, particularly in the cybersecurity space, there are barriers to career pathways.
There's a breakdown in whoever is creating the jobs. If you're looking for experience, but it's an entry-level job, asking for 7 years experience is not really entry-level.
Maybe helpful to write kind of what's at what place in the model.
The trend that I've noticed when I've talked to industry folks, right,
figure out which interface
and primarily around those that are doing the job from day to day, they're looking for people that have skills, some of that intangible aptitude, desire, reliability, inquisitive, lots of great skills that come along with it that you can't learn in a textbook, you just inherently know. But then they're going to, support staffs and HR offices in their organization, and those offices have rules, right? Those rules have been set in stone for years around the degree requirements, and you need this or you need this certification.
Midwest Cyber is not only sourcing entry-level cybersecurity analysts, they're creating a non-traditional pathway to employ them, apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are not a new concept, but are mostly affiliated with the trades and not technology careers. But cybersecurity needs are in high demand, and companies are changing their approach to on-the-job training. Raphael Constantine is the Chief Information Security Officer at Barry Waymiller, a worldwide company headquartered in Clayton, whose primary business manufactures equipment that manufactures products.
Over the past 35 or so years, we've acquired over 100 companies, about 110 companies.
What does a company like this need cybersecurity for? How does that work on an everyday basis?
That's a great question. So for our customer trust, which is very important to us, we want to make sure that our customers know that when they do business with Barry Waymiller, their information they provide us in the course of normal business is going to be well protected. There is definitely some intellectual property. There's financial information that we want to protect. There are a lot of personal bits of information that we collect and must keep for our associates, for our team members.
Right, so even HR information.
That's what I'm talking
would be everybody.
Exactly.
Naturally, Barry Waymiller takes cybersecurity very seriously, and Constantine's cybersecurity team is growing with the help of Midwest Cyber Center.
And it was the best thing, because me as a hiring authority, a person in need of some cyber skills, the Midwest Cyber Center provides me someone who's been vetted with some level of professional skills, professional behavior, and eagerness. That passion I spoke with, that's already been kind of vetted for me as the hiring authority. So working with Tony, I had a couple resumes to choose from. I interviewed some folks.
So last August, Derek landed an apprenticeship at Barry Waymiller, where his on-the-job training combined with 580 hours of online coursework will land him a permanent position there within a year.
It was phenomenal. He was exactly the type of person I was looking for.
It's been really amazing. It's not what I expected. I was expecting kind of like an internship type, but they have given me actual responsibility when I bring something up to take it seriously. I could have never imagined it would be something like this.
That's all we have for tonight. For more information on Nine's work around American Graduate, or for resources about jobs in our area, visit ninenet.org/jobs. For Living St. Louis, I'm Anne Marie Berger. Good night.
Living St. Louis is made possible by the support of the Mary Rankin Jordan and Eddie A. Jordan Charitable Foundation and by the members of Nine Network.